All right, y'all. My Buckeyes lost. Our Buckeyes lost. All right. Not happy, but you know what? I ain't about to be down about it. I'm about to look at what happened not just in this game, but I want to look at 2025 as a season, right? Watch where we're going. So, 2025 was a year that, yes, this is a team that is coming off a national championship, right? But this is a young team. We lost a lot of starters, the majority of our starters from last year's team. Matter of fact, Ohio State only had 3 or 4 seniors in their starting lineup. 3 or 4 seniors in their starting lineup in their depth chart. And they still made a playoff run. Why? Because they remembered who they were. They remembered last year. So they didn't, just go out there and say we an average football team. They went out there and said we champions. We just had a championship year. So we could go back out there and we're gonna try our best to run it back. They remembered what happened. So that's what I want to do. I want to remember what God has done for me in 2025. I know we love new. I know everybody loves to look at what the Lord is doing, what new is happening, what new is taking place. But what I want to do before we look at what new is taking place, I want to encourage you, family, to take these last couple minutes in 2025, and I want to encourage you to be grateful. Posture your heart. Posture your heart in gratefulness. Just look at what God walked you through, what he took you through, what he brought you through, where you were in some moments in 2025. Even those moments that hurt, even those uncomfortable moments, even those moments that you wish you didn't have to go through. If you just take a second to look back at those moments and look at where you are right now, you'll get to see God's faithfulness in your life. And you can posture your heart to be grateful for what he's brought you through, for what he's taken you through, from you making it from point A to point B to where you are right now, moments away from walking out of 2025 and walking into 2026. I want you to take a minute, take these last few minutes just to be grateful. Just to be grateful. Just go to the Lord and give him thanks because he saw you through a year. Maybe it hurt. Maybe you lost a lot. Maybe you feel like you had moments where you weren't going to recover. But look at you. On the doorstep of a new year. Why? Because God is good. Because he's faithful. Because he always sees us through. Regardless of what's going on in our lives, God is present and he sees us through. That's the thing about new. If we can learn to appreciate where he's taken us from, imagine how much better new would be for us. If we could posture our heart to be grateful from going from point A to point B to right now, imagine how we could watch our faith grow exponentially. Big, huge leaps and bounds of faith. We could watch our lives change. We could watch this thing that we call American Christianity change if we truly walked in faith. How do we truly walk in faith? Appreciate what God has taken you through. Posture your heart to say, Lord, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the ups. I'm grateful for the downs. I'm grateful for it all. You saw me through. God is amazing, man. God is amazing. I think that even if we look at what is recorded in the Bible, we really get to see how God reminds us that if we posture our hearts to remember what he's done, that's when he makes the mighty moves. Think about it. Abraham had to remember that God promised him Isaac as an heir in order for him to take Isaac up on Mount Moriah as a sacrifice of obedience. He had to remember what God already promised him. That's why he was able to walk in faith and say, son, the Lord will provide. Joseph had to make it through 2 stints in prison for crimes he did not commit. How did he get through that? By remembering the vision that God gave him. By remembering that God told him that he would lead his own brothers, even though he was the youngest. So Joseph was able to make it through those 2 stints in prison, not only make it out, but make it out to lead an entire nation and ultimately save his entire family. Joshua had to remember not just what God told him, but Joshua had to remember what Moses told him that God told him. Joshua had to remember the promises that the Lord told Moses in order for Joshua to stand up and walk in the role of leadership to lead God's people to freedom. All of these people walked in faith, and their faith led them into the next season. How did their faith lead them? Because they remembered what God had already done in the past. So I'm urging you, take a minute, these last few minutes, give God glory for what he brought you through. We're looking to change this culture. We're looking to change the culture of American Christianity. We're looking to change this culture to a Christ culture. So, man, just give him glory. Be grateful. Remember where you were yesterday. Remember where you were day before yesterday. Remember what he brought you through. And watch how grateful you'll be for what's coming tomorrow. That's how we see our faith explode. We're looking to change. We're looking to change this culture. We need a Christ culture. God bless you. Love you. And I'll see you in 2026. Blessings.